Okay, the next session is Keynote Speaker 3. This is Professor Poonam Arora and Professor Elaine Wallace are supposed to chair this session. And the keynote speaker is Professor Qadar Wali. So, Professor Poonam, I suggest that if you're chairing this, make a 1-minute introduction, no more, so that Professor Qadar can spend longer time in his talk and allow questions.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm really happy to be here, and respected Honorable Professor Enamul, Professor Zubair Kalam, Professor Nurul Alam, Dr. Haider Viswas. It is my pleasure to introduce, I'm feeling very proud to introduce Dr. Khadar Nawaz, who is fondly called the Millet Man of India for a reason. Although he's a nature scientist by profession, but he's ardently devoted to the cause of humanity in his mission for healthy India. And he has been propagating healthy nutrition all through the world. He's thoroughly attached to his roots, wherein he gives personal consultation to people for nature cure and works through an NGO, Manavta, which means humanity. I'm going fast because I want to quickly go through the whole thing. Meaning to advocate and propagate the use of healthy millets and its decoctions for curing various diseases, which is very, very interesting. We all have done research, we all have done theories, but very few we have got chance to apply it. No, he's into applied research, and this is all about sustainability that we have been talking about. And he's talking about plant-based diet and millets, which were, an acceptable diet maybe some 20 to 30 years ago, but people have forgotten that. And now he's introducing it to India and globally, and he's trying to tell people to cultivate it, to use it and advocate it, the usage of it, because people don't know, and he's just educating people also on that. And he's on this altruistic mission to ameliorate suffering through health and well-being via nutrition from plant-based millets. And about his background, I have to say that he did his master's from south of India, and then he went on to do his PhD from Indian Institute of Sciences, and where he worked on steroids. Basically, he pursued his postdoctoral research fellowship in environmental science from Oregon in USA. And his research involved deactivating deadly chemical substances such as dioxin at a time when food was being rapidly commercialized. Again, the things that Dr. Inam has been talking about, commercialization is the culprit. And and the sustainable model, green model that he has proposed, I think Dr. Khadar has been working on it for a long time. And after completing his postdoctoral research at Oregon, he worked as a food scientist in the Central Food Technology Research Institute, and later he worked in various sections of DuPont, Delaware in USA for over 5 years. Now, this is a turning point where he thought that instead of working in a foreign country for a living, let me go to my own country and then make people healthy. So all of us want to do all these things, but this is a concept that he's living that concept. Therefore, he returned to India from US in 1997 and settled down in Mysore. He worked hard to revive 5 different types of millets that were fast disappearing in the process of consuming each of these millets. He discovered that the healing properties present in them could cure even deadly diseases. So he named it Sri Dhanya, which means golden grain. To cultivate them naturally, Dr. Khadar propounded a method also known as jungle farming. He is a proponent. He has written various books in English, in regional language, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, and I just want to share that my mother has been using these millets for last 1 year, and her health has improved. her sugar has gone down and all this. This is the practical experience that I'm talking about. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about Dr. Khadar Wali. And sir, this is the platform is for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this sessions. I am actually very happy to speak about sustainability. The word sustainability is actually the essence of being natural. That's what nature characteristic is, sustainable, being sustainable. Be it food, sustainable for food, sustainable energy, sustainable practices, whatever you have, it all has to become sustainable. They become sustainable only when we follow nature. There are no two things about it. And we have been actually involved in a spree of consuming culture. And consuming culture is basically an economic model. That means whatever powers may be it oil industry, be it chemical industry, be it plastic industry, be it pesticide industry, doesn't matter. Be it food industry. You see, all things became industrious. The word industry is involving profit. And all these words that we juggle around, all are unsustainable, because the moment there is word profit, the conserving nature of nature and sustainability, two concepts which are very important, are thrown out of the window. Because profit means there is something remaining, residue. The residue is toxic. That's how the economic models become toxic. Nature, there should not be any residue. Everything has to be recycled. Everything has to be recycled. But then what are we trying to do? The natural resources we are trying to convert into a money. And that's the problem with the present economic consuming models. Be it oil industry, be it the food industry, all these things, technologies. And we are actually so stupid. With all due apologies, I am using this word, the stupid, because we think that we can be sustainable without zero waste. And that's where the consuming culture has set in. And we are trying to create all kinds of guidelines and pollution boards, all these things, but they're all working under the thumb of this commercial entity. So that's what, this is the basis. We need to understand the word sustainability. If you want to be sustainable, you need to respect nature, and everything in nature has to be there. And without that, you cannot have a model of sustainability. But we are consuming everything in the sense that there is a fellow in India having lipstick and coloring his hair, which is actually an extracted essence of a whale in somewhere near Norway. And this has to be driven into the minds of this so-called consuming culture, that we need to stop this. And this is the essence, that conserving, we are part of nature. We live along with all the elements that are present. I'm going beyond the living things, the elements in nature, because they also have cycles, water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle. If all these cycles are not happening the way it is intended to, then we're going to create trouble for ourselves. And so the toxicity comes from choosing in the last 100 or 150 years. Yeah, you could actually point it to this so-called plastic. The earlier speaker clearly mentioned that because of plastic, things are going bad. It's an example he chose to say. And that is the end product of this consuming culture. That could be due to your drilling for oil, and then whatever chemicals that we are getting out of the petroleum products, we are converting into different kinds of end user products. And then we go on making profit out of everything. And then we actually, many people in the technology world keep telling that it is a zero waste technology because we are serving this, we are doing this. But at the end of the day, earlier speaker clearly mentioned, does it have global imbalance created? Local imbalance may not be there in the technology, but the global imbalance is created. So now, this being the background, I would like to just touch upon how food has become commercial, how food has become the toxic generator, and then the whole living things on this planet are suffering just because we are choosing the way we want to eat, because it suits the food industry, not anyone's health. Prime example, the earlier speaker also mentioned about sugar. Yes, honey is the natural thing, that's what we think, but actually beyond honey, there are what are called palm trees. In different parts of the world, different kinds of palm trees are there, which are sustainably growing for some up to 80 years, 100 years. Toddy palm, silver date palm, khazur palm, fishtail palm, coconut palm. All these trees can be extracted, the milk before the inflorescence, and then we can make sweet out of it, which is fructose based, which is a natural sweetener. So we can actually produce enough sweetener to the whole world, locally also, without having any toxic residues left. Complete zero waste, zero residue left. Like this, in the food technology, the word technology is not the right thing for food, because once the technology word comes in, we are trying to centralize the production, centralize the processes, and then call it sustainable. That is a wrong usage of the word sustainable. Sustainable is something that you depend on nature, harvest, eat, and again make the word sustainable for agriculture. Produce, harvest, eat. Produce, harvest, eat. Produce, harvest, eat. And this is the sustainable cycle. We have to fit into the natural cycles rather than breaking them and trying to have go downs, storing food 10 years, 15 years. In the name of safety, of food safety, we are doing this. This is unnatural. This is unnatural. So these kinds of recognizing where we are going wrong, where we are going consuming culture, instead of being conserving culture. What do we conserve? We need to conserve nature. We should not empty nature, whether it is water, whether it is carbon, whether it is, so in higher form, jungle or animals or fauna and flora. We need to have the least dent into the nature and make our living. And that means you need to think of being ecologically sensitive, and I call this ecological model, wherein you have the conservation as the technique or tool or technology. See, you can go on saying that I am creating green energy. It is invading the earth core and we are getting oil. That's not good. Okay, it's not good. Then you go to nuclear energy. Then you are now saying, oh, we'll go to wind energy. Oh, we'll go to solar energy. All these technologies are producing residues. Sometime or the other, they become toxic. So the best technology, green technology, is to grow trees. That's how the energy is trapped onto this planet Earth. So it is in this conserving and really green technology that is natural technology. So we need to grow more trees depending upon the local areas, such that we create enough biomass, sustainable biomass, so that we are going to feed into everything. In fact, it is the green technology of growing trees which can feed you all around. And that's what happened in the last 100 years ago. 100 years onwards, now last 100 years onwards, we have broken these cycles because we think we have found technologies that can make use of resources in the faster and faster and faster way. And that's where the problems began. And that's what the earlier speaker clearly mentioned, that if the initial balance of local efficiency is achieved, you need to always look at the global balance. These two ought to be balanced. Sensitiveness should be there in our actions, in our thoughts, and that I'm providing you the solution for where does it come from? By defining the conserving culture of human race, which was followed for umpteen number of years. And when the technologies became sharper and faster and stronger, we have started losing the human values. The humanity has become inhuman because we are actually putting ourselves into the hands of technology. And I am also aware of the so-called horizon technologies that are going to actually invade the human consciousness, and humans are going to be wiped out or taken over by these technology-oriented systems. So this is the danger that we are actually entering into in the next 10-15 years. Human race has to behave as human beings, keeping everything aside. Because as a human being, you need to take care of the living things on this planet, fauna and flora. Actually, that is the most important responsibility of the so-called thinking animal, that is human. And we are going to do the mistake again and again in the last 100 years. If you break it into 20 years, we have been actually adding the mistake one by one. And now where we are now with all the problems. Health problems is the most important thing because human race is completely unhealthy because we have chosen the consuming culture, eating wrong food because we are thinking we are growing food, but we have become technology dependent agriculture, which is absolutely not natural. We have added steroids, we have added antibiotics, we have added pesticides, we have added toxic materials into our food chain. And the whole world is now contaminated with these bad herbicides, pesticides, insecticides. And we are still trying to grapple, doing research elsewhere that, oh, some other thing is reason for cancer, some other thing is reason for diabetes, some other thing is reason for blood pressure. It is simply the food that you're eating is the cause of your diseases. It is the rice, it is the wheat, it is the milk, it is the egg. All these are now, of course, to produce large scale in the future, genetically modified systems are coming. And there could not be better mistake than this. At present, we are going to commit. So all these issues are one. It is unsustainability comes from our food to start. We have chosen meat, we have chosen rice, we have chosen where we are using enormous amounts of natural resources. So on this background, I started looking for something that can actually have zero waste, instead make the soil replenished. We found by experiments, jungle farming, the millet farming, which actually asks for the least resources of nature, because these grains have grown all over the world on all kinds of topology, all kinds of geographical conditions. Its range is from degrees 10 to 15 degrees to up to 45 degrees. We can grow this. Whereas this wheat and rice, the range is very narrow. And the consumption of water cycles we have broken because of our agriculture, of choosing soybean, choosing corn, choosing rice, choosing sugarcane. And no expert, no doctor, no scientist is talking that the production of the milk that we have been doing in the last 30-40 years in the name of dairy technology, biotechnology, is the source of almost 80% of our diseases on the human race now, right now. The autoimmune diseases, the gynecological diseases for women, and sex diseases for men, and imbalances created by these choices of food, I have broadly divided them into three: glucose imbalance, microbial imbalance, and hormonal imbalance. So can we correct these three imbalances by producing food naturally with least damage to the resources? And any part of the world can be used, including desert. We actually have grown from the sand by just spraying little bit of cocoa peat, and then we could grow these materials. That means including Dubai, Sharjah, all these desert oriented countries, which are of course existing because of oil production and actually contaminating the whole world, because we are dependent on oil. And the byproducts of this oil production, or rather side products or whatever you call, are actually the contaminating factors of the whole world. Be it pesticides, be it fertilizers, be it plastic, be it call any chemical, it's coming from there. And we're all calling them technologies and then trying to name them green technology, this technology, that technology. And then we keep analyzing business proximity, this and efficient profits. All these are economic models because they have lost the focus of ecology and conserving nature of tools. So unless we introduce these natural concepts, we can keep saying we want to follow nature, we want to follow nature. But what are the essence of nature? We need to grasp and then make it into an applicable tool in our behavior. So the next coming 20-30 years, if we can inculcate the essence of natural issues and then absorb and adapt to our living, and that's what we call natural lifestyles. That means eat less, eat to live, just eat enough. That is the concept of conservation. So we are eating now left and right. Oh, we need this much protein, that, but no one has done the real healthy living. What are the least things that are required to be healthy? And we have done that work in the last 20 years. And all the materials that you need to get from the nature without disturbing the nature. In that sense, we have found alternatives, and then the technologies, the oils that we are actually consuming present today are all refined oils which use high-end technologies. And we need to go back and then produce the oils that we want. I'm just showing you the old traditional method of bull-driven ghani oils. You can, I hope, see the picture. Like this, we need to produce food.
First, stop sharing, please, so that we can see the screen.
The photo, yeah. Can you see the bull and the ghani? And we have the oil seed being pressed over a period of 4 or 5 hours. So no energy is used. It's all the bioenergy, and we can produce 20 liters of oil in each with 2 bulls going around. So we have no energy requirement for our food production. And so we take care of the animals as well. Every 3 hours we change the couple of bulls so that they are healthy and they are not being overused. So all these experiments we have done, and we have gotten back in South India now. Thousands of these units have been established, and we are providing these oils.
Okay.
And these oils are curing many diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and neural disturbances, including mental disorders. So when you go to nature, it helps you. And when we go away from nature, we get into toxic residual morbidities that are causing havoc in our health. So we have actually been successful in helping many of these lifestyle diseases, including diabetes, what is it, blood pressure, thyroid issues, gynecological issues, all these lifestyle diseases have been helped, and thousands, why thousands, lakhs of people are using, and we have actually given PDF. The information is given freely on the internet and Google, everyone can share, and it's all available, and I will be happy to share the English version of all this information with the host, and then you all can circulate easily. And all the information is like a handbook for what kind of diseases, what kind of natural resources are going to be helpful for you. And these kinds of producing, that means in Dubai, you can produce these oils. You can, Sharjah, you can produce that khazur sugar, fructose based. And fructose based sugar doesn't cause any trouble. In fact, we have cured cancerous conditions by feeding them these palm date sugars. There are, in India, there are 8 kinds of palms, and we can make sugar from all of them. And in Indonesia, there is a real palm. I mean, you can make sugar out of that. So in each and every area, you go to Canada, there are maple trees. You can make maple syrup, which is again fructose based. So we are trying to centralize and say everyone should use sugarcane sugar or beet sugar because it suits the industry and it makes profits for them. And this is the conclusion. And I don't want to take more time. I think I have already taken 9:50. Yeah, another 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So this is the kind of thought process which I actually totally agree with the earlier speaker, that zero waste. In every sense, zero waste. And I hope I have actually added few more examples and brought clarity into the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, by giving you the right examples, and we have worked on the details. How do we make it sustainable? Unsustainable world now. You have to actually, as a joke, don't mistake me for this. If you remove UN from unsustainable, you become sustainable. The UN is United Nations. We are centralizing everything, and then someone at the helm of center trying to dictate terms to all the planet, and that's what is actually causing trouble. So we have to find local solutions which keep the global balance. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I don't want to exceed the time given, though this topic requires huge amount of time. If I keep giving more and more examples. In fact, I wanted to talk about more of millets, but that would take another half an hour to introduce what are millets and why they are so good, all that. I wish to come back to you people with exclusive focus on millets alone. But today's topic being what it was, I had to include them together. And we have corrected glucose imbalance, cured lakhs of diabetic patients, healed them. And now, earlier, people used to come to my clinic. Now, no one needs to come to my clinic. We have made handbooks. People are following all over India, including now even Ladakh, Kashmir. People are calling me and saying that they are getting healed because they're getting all these wonderful grains. And so Punjab, Gujarat, Bengal, all these people are started to use these millets. And millets is the future. And millets is the solution for human race. Integrating all these technologies, it is the green technology of future, is to eat millets is the real green technology. To throw away rice, throw away wheat, throw away sugar, throw away milk, throw away meat, throw away all this so-called biotechnology, GMOs. And that's when human race is going to flourish along with all the other living things on this planet. And we have managed to disintegrate, disfigure and disintegrate many fauna and flora in the last 50 years. And if we work intelligently and diligently, next 50 years, we can bring them back again into the fold of Earth's wonderful bioecological models. Thank you very much for inviting me and gave me this good opportunity to express my work. I hope people
Thank you,
will
Professor.
start looking into
It's a privilege. It's a privilege listening to you. We've really benefited from this fantastic talk. I would suggest that if we have questions and comments, we can continue this during the lunch break, because following this now, we have 3 short presentations. After that, we have almost 40 minutes, half an hour lunch break. During the 30 minutes, if people have burning questions, and there are many, I mean, I am really, really privileged to listen to this fantastic talk. And I already have a soft spot for Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. I love this institute. They produce some of the brilliant minds all over the world. Thank you, Professor.